Hey, what's going on, everybody? We're back on their BKFC Reddit. Ask Me Anything. We're joined by the good friend of the show, Chris Camozzi. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. It's great to be talking to you again. We talk all the time, but it's always fun to podcast with you.
You're one of the reasons I miss moving out of Colorado because we talk so much. It'd be so much easier if I could just come to your house and we could have a barbecue and shoot the shit.
Yeah, and you could bring a gator over again.
I really want to come back and take a bunch of the guys from the gym down to go catch alligators.
I'm in. Let's do it. I know my buddy Beto from Half Face Blades, I was telling about it, and he was like, let me know, I want to go. Because he's always catching like rattlesnakes and stuff, and he's a wild dude. He's like, if you do that, I want in.
Dude, what's funny is I found about half face blades from you, but now I see all these other fighters with half face blades and people that's I knew there'd be a lot of people from Colorado with you, but I'm seeing other fighters like Ty Emery and all these other fighters who now stuff to do with half face. I think it's great.
Yeah, he's a really cool dude. He's become like one of my best friends over the years. I love that guy. He is, I don't know, he's an American hero. If you really look into him, he was a Navy SEAL for a long time. He's really well known in that community. He does a bunch of like fundraising for them. He's got a bunch of successful companies. I don't even know how that guy keeps up with his life because he has companies that sometimes I'm like, dude, I didn't know you own that. And he's like, oh yeah. Like he's got a company with Joe Rogan. He's got his knife company, which kills it. And he's just a really cool like support system and everything. I did a seminar this last weekend at our gym, and he just randomly sent like a giant box of merchandise to like give out, and just a really good dude. But he is a little selective on who he sponsors too, because
Sure.
he grew up training and stuff. I can't remember if he ever fought like way back in the day, but he's got things he looks for in people. I won't give it out there, that way people can be genuine if they hit him up.
Let me ask you this. So you're talking about that. The one thing, like back when I was, in Colorado, I was a sponsored bow fisherman and doing all this stuff. And I was lucky enough to be sponsored by a bunch of companies. There's so many people that just want free shit that don't want to help out. And you make the post, you use the blades and stuff like that. It's crazy how many people want free shit, but don't want to help out these companies who actually sponsor them.
Oh yeah, it's really common, man. I think some people get so used to, with this day and age of social media, if you have a following, so many people are used to stuff just being handed to them, or they feel entitled that they should get stuff. But I used to own my own retail stores and stuff, and depending on how big the company is, when you sponsor somebody, it's a big deal for you, and
Mhm.
you could really use that marketing and stuff. So it helps them out a ton, and it actually like builds those relationships better if you go above and beyond, not just the you know here it's a picture of the knife on the table and this is my favorite, putting some effort into it, and because it means a lot to them, more than you realize. Like that's marketing for them, which is what they're trading or paying you for.
Awesome. All right, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. I didn't want to start off with the bad news right away, but you had a fight. Like I was watching Dave's show the other day with Brian Socia. He said they actually pondered not postponing the show. How excited were you that they were able to get a replacement for Hunt and on short notice like that?
Oh man, well, the answer to your question is I was super excited that they were able to find me an opponent, right? I didn't know that it was in danger of just being scrapped. Obviously I had a feeling because I was like, man, it's short notice. Who are they going to find that can go to Italy, has their medicals, his feels comfortable enough fighting? Maybe somebody wasn't in shape or whatever. I'm sure there's guys that volunteered for it. um I had no part in the decision, so
Sure.
I've gotten some messages like, how'd you pick that guy? I'm like, I didn't pick anybody. um I was furious when I found out Hunt was out. We can get into that more, but basically I told them, I said, listen, I want to fight. Like, I've done a full camp, I put a ton of money into this. Find me somebody, I don't care who it is. I think I still have the text to Nate Shook. I said, I don't care, just pick somebody. I need to stay on the card.
Okay, so you were in Italy for the press conference. You said this fight's not going to happen. Why did you know back then? Why did you know weeks ago this fight wasn't going to actually happen?
I mean, so going back, they first offered me Hunt, and I was like, all right, cool, awesome, yeah, because I've wanted that one back since. I could fight way better than I did the first time. I know that. And I'm my worst critic. I was more hesitant than I needed to be. I was overthinking everything in our first fight, and it still went well. I still think I won, but I've wanted that one back since because it eats at me. And so when they offered me that, I was like, okay, great, but he's suspended. Like, how are we going to do this? And they're like, no, it's taken care of, yada yada, or it would be taken care of. So I guess BKFC might have been in the dark just as much as me. It sounds like, because I don't know how involved they are in like the legal process and that stuff. But he was suspended. I know he likes to say that the test was wrong or they mixed up his test or whatever. All of that, I don't know why. Honestly, people, if you admit your faults, people move on quicker.
Sure.
But if you're lying and you deny stuff and everything, then people will continue to bring it up. They'll continue to research it. Look at Chael Sonnen back in the UFC. He when he popped for steroids, he was just like, "Oh yeah, I did it. I was taking everything that you could imagine. I was more juiced than Lance Armstrong." Yada yada. Like he had fun with it, made fun of it, and now like people let it slide. It's the guys that deny, deny, deny. People will continue to go after, and the absolute fact of the matter is that he was suspended. He's still suspended, um, and I don't know why he chose to try. I don't know if he thought it like helped save his name or what. He could have just been like, I did it to go up to heavyweight.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people. I've been in this sport for a really long time, including knowing the commissioner from California and Jeff Nowitzki from USADA and all these people. So I knew for a fact that he was 100% suspended. I knew that he had legal problems. He had a pending felony, I believe, a lot of things. And, Italy is a difficult country to enter. So, first off, I was like, how's he going to get in with the pending felony? Second, he's suspended. How are they going to let him fight? And, maybe it's international. So, whatever. If he wanted to do that, that's fine. I also said, I feel like if he's doing that without California's approval, he's probably facing a lifetime US ban, but that's not my problem. I don't care.
Sure.
I was cool to fight him out there. And then, I found out that he was actually subject to random drug testing for the camp through California. So he cut a deal with California that they would allow him to end his suspension early because I think it was supposed to be up in October.
Correct.
They would allow him to end his suspension early if he submitted to VADA drug testing. So VADA, random drug testing. And take it for what it's worth. I want to see a picture of the cut. I want to see a picture of the cut with the newspaper because I also know that story's false.
Okay, so again, I don't want to like it could have been a misspeak, but again, Dave was on Brian's show and they were talking about it. And he said Lorenzo suffered a cut on his eye, but then you see the cut and it's in the middle of his forehead. So, you said you think it's a false cut. Like, and again, it's one of those things, like I said, maybe Dave misspoke and didn't say, like, it didn't mean he got cut over his eye. Maybe he meant like headbutt in the forehead, but it's weird that it's like, he posts a thing and it's a forehead, but Dave says it was the eye, the eyebrow like area. So again, it's such a weird incident.
I think it was a mix-up of words. I'm sure. I don't know. Dave is super busy. That guy
Sure.
is all over the world all the time. He doesn't keep track of all of us. If I tell him I'm hurt, he's got to take my word for it. They
Yeah.
don't they don't ask me for proof. They don't have somebody come out here and check anything like that. So I don't fault them for it. They just take the information they're given, and I think he probably mixed up his words. But I don't believe the cut. I saw that video too. One, who goes in an ambulance for a cut? I mean, I drive myself with a cut like that. I've
Drove
had deeper
myself.
ones than that.
Yeah.
You don't need an ambulance for a cut. Two, seeing his training videos and stuff leading up to our fight before all this happened, his body was quite a bit different. He was shrunken.
Sure.
Traps gone, muscles gone. He was looking softer, so you could tell that something was different. Um, and in that video of him in the ambulance, his face is a lot puffier, like it used to be. Who knows? I don't know. I don't try not to think into it too much. It's just more of just come out, be honest.
Sure. Okay, and again, like I don't want to. There's a
You're
lot of
good.
other. There's a lot of other rumors, and I don't want to necessarily get into them, but I've seen comments deleted. Who, someone posted on his thing, and that comment was deleted. And there's several other like accusations that are getting thrown around. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of weeks if those were in fact true, and like what light comes to.
Yeah, I mean, he deleted my comment, which is it's just kind of funny because like his personality type, we actually get along in person. I like him as a person.
Absolutely.
We're just rivals, right? At the end of the day, when I'm retired, I see him, we're great. Even if I see him now, we're not fighting, we're great. It's cool. It's not personal, it's just business. And it's cool for me to have a rivalry, honestly, and it's good for both of us. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just don't get it. It's a weird thing. I feel like if he was just honest, people would let it blow by. But yeah, he deleted my comment, even though he's a guy that is always talking trash. Always, I've never deleted any of his. I leave him on there, because that's transparency. But yeah, he deleted it because I said, "What is it? You popped another test, or you're going to Russia?" Because I had heard that from through the grapevine. I've been in this 20 years, man. I know a ton of people in this sport, and I did hear that he got a good monetary offer from Russia. Russia, they don't care what you do. You can take whatever you want. When I fought in Russia, there were guys just injecting themselves with stuff in the locker room in front of the commissioner. Um, I was shocked. Me and some Brazilian guys were like looking over as these Russian guys were literally, I don't know what it was, but I was watching guys shoot up in the locker room before fights. I mean, the Brazilian guys were looking at each other. There was a guy, can't remember who it was. I knew him from the UFC, or I'd been on some cards with him. I didn't really know him. Him and I were like looking at each other, like, what the fuck? And it was a shock. But over there, they don't care. So I could see it happening, and they do pay well.
And then the most recent rumor I just heard this from somebody else is that Italy is actually going to be testing. Like, have you heard that? Has Gabriel, again, you talked to Gabriel, has he said anything about, and you're a clean fighter, you haven't been busted, but has he said anything about testing you guys?
No, but I mean, I don't care. One and two, I don't feel like they should have to um,
Let you know.
tell anybody that. Yeah,
Sure.
I mean that's the point of testing is that you don't get a chance to go around it. Like when I was under USADA, um, it was crazy. It was extreme, but it worked. It cleaned up the sport quite a bit. I mean, they would come to my house randomly anytime. Um, a lot of times it would be at like 5 in the morning. They'd knock on your door, try to wake you up. Or I've been out with Anthony Smith before, and you had to tell USADA where you were. They'll show up if you're at a restaurant. They'll come walking in because you had to put your whereabouts on the phone if you're going to be there more than I think it was 2 hours. And they'll show up and be like, "Hey, we need you to come to the bathroom here." Very random, but I mean that's the point of testing. So I mean, if they do, great. If they don't, whatever.
All right, let's talk about something fun. Your fiance, like we haven't talked in a long time. You're engaged now. That was a beautiful ceremony they had out there in Dominican. But anyway, Whitney sent in a question. She would like you to tell us about your fight day rituals.
Fight day rituals. Oh man. Um,
Is it something you can tell us about? Like I'm almost worried that it's like maybe something bad or.
Oh, it's not bad.
Okay.
It's not PG. No. um, Other than that,
That's what
it's
I was worried about. Like I was thinking like this could be like, do I have to put up the little disclaimer like, caution, children can't listen for this part.
yeah, just blur the whole thing. No. Other than that, man, I'm pretty easy going. I eat a big breakfast and then I don't usually eat the rest of the day. I like to fight hungry. Um, I think it makes your reactions, your senses, everything better. I read that a long time ago, and there's been some studies on it just because of like our ancestral brain, like people hunted when they were hungry, and it made them sharper. So I eat a big breakfast and nothing the rest of the day, which when I used to have a nutritionist travel with me for the UFC, it would shock him because he was like, "You got to put fuel in," and I don't, I don't know. I just like being hungry because it makes me a little bit more edgy. I feel like I'm more aware. Just like when people do fasting, they always say they feel a lot sharper, their brain works better. Um, I think there really is something to it. Plus, I don't want to go in there feeling like, oh man, did I eat too much? I'm kind of
Sure.
full. That was real heavy. Um, then I watch movies, I watch like Gladiator, something like that, something that gets you like hyped up and kind of lay around the whole day. But I've done this so many times. I'm pretty relaxed. Like fight week for me, especially going to Italy. I'll do sightseeing. I'll work out each day, but I have fun with it. I feel like my coaches have always enjoyed traveling with me because if I fight in Vegas, I'm in the casino half the day. You know, I'm gambling, having fun. We go see movies. It's real stress free for me, as opposed to some guys and everybody has their own routine. So I'm not shitting on those guys, but I've cornered friends of mine that are very serious all fight week. It's very stressful. It's very like, uh,
Sure.
I like to, the fight's stressful enough, so I like to have fun with it. And I like to make sure my team has fun. They go do cool stuff. In the UFC, I used to make my corner guys go out and get drunk the night before. I would pay for them to go party, and they'd be like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure." Because one time they randomly did it, and I think I had a great fight. So then I became like superstitious, and I started telling them like, "Listen, you got to go out again tonight. Like last time you guys did that, I just dominated." And it became a thing. So they always loved it. After weigh-ins was done, I would go to bed and I'd be like, "Here's some money, go have fun."
Okay, so you're fighting Beachy. I'm not 100% how, and I asked him to come on the show, and he
Icky.
said he doesn't have Bicky. Okay, he said he doesn't have a good enough English, and he wants to come on with a friend, but we haven't been able to do it yet. How does your game plan change, or is it just one of those things you're going to do what you're going to do, and it doesn't matter the opponent?
Yeah, it doesn't change at all. This is the best camp I've ever had. I've probably said that before. I feel like everybody says it no matter what, but just being completely honest, everything went perfectly this camp because I was so hyped up for this rematch with Hunt. As soon as it was signed, I just did everything possible because I was like, I am not losing this fight again. I am beating this guy. Started doing, just like mental training. I started looking into all different kinds of things that was going to make me like the best athlete. So nothing changes at all because I felt like I was going to highlight reel Lorenzo, and unfortunately for Vicky, I'm going to do that to him. I feel extremely prepared, extremely confident, and I already was. It's just he's not a lefty. He's not. There's nothing different about him um, than Lorenzo. He's a little bigger, but other than that, man, everything's staying the same because I was gonna go with what I was gonna do regardless.
Okay, so you're clearly going to be the favorite going into this fight, but I feel like you versus Lorenzo, Italy was supporting you. Now everybody's going to boo you. You're fighting, Florence is one of their favorites. The Calico. How do you say the name of the game? Calico.
I think it's Kachiko Storica,
Yeah,
I believe.
Calico. Yeah. So anyway, you're fighting a hometown guy who's clearly going to be much more loved. So now you're kind of like the bad guy. Does that favor you? Like you like being the bad guy?
I prefer it. Yeah, I mean, most of my UFC career was not most, but I had out of 20 fights, I don't know how many were international. And usually when you fought international in the UFC, you were fighting a hometown guy or somebody from that country. So I grew to really like it. I fought Dustin Jacoby in Chicago, where he was from Illinois. I fought Nick Catone in New Jersey. He was from New Jersey. Um, and then, Brazilians in Brazil. That to me, like the crowd kind of goes out once I'm in there. I'm not really focused on anything else. It's not the crowd's not fighting for them. In close decisions, it can play against you, because people cheer every time the hometown guy swings, even if it
Sure.
doesn't land, and judges hear that. But I like it. I feel like it takes the pressure off. I believe I'm not positive, but this might be his first fight in Florence or even Italy, which weighs on you.
Sure.
When I fought in Denver, it weighed on me quite a bit. I think we talked about this my last fight with Sawyer. Before walking out, I had the TV in my locker room, or it was a few fights before, and it was like the closed circuit TV of inside the arena.
Sure.
And I just kept seeing like friends, clients. I had so many of my clients come to that last fight, and it was the first one they'd ever been to. There was a moment where I looked at the screen and I was like, "Oh man, was this a bad idea to sell all those tables to clients? Like, what if I go out there and just get slept? Like,
Sure.
this could be really bad for me, fight wise and business wise." There was a quick second of that, and yeah, it puts a lot of pressure on you being the hometown guy. But I'm excited for it. The Italians, when I went out there for the press conference, it was it was like overwhelming respect. It was great. Very polite people. My heritage is from there. My grandparents immigrated from there, so I'm second generation. Unfortunately, they didn't teach me Italian. I've been trying to learn some because they were more of those, you're American, you're going to learn English
Sure.
uh, people. So it's really cool to go back to Italy and fight. And I got nothing but respect for him. I hung out with Bicky and his coaches out there when we were there for the press conference. He brought me one of his jerseys.
Cool.
Very nice people, but this is business. It can be nice outside of the ring, but I'm not going to be nice in the ring.
Is there any chance that we see you playing for that Florence team in that game? Like I would love. I mean, you seem like you're built for it. You're a big guy. You can fight. You know sports. Is there any chance we see you try to play that Calico or?
I would love to. I would love to because I grew up playing rugby too. I played rugby in college. Not that it's rugby, but I would say it's more similar to rugby than it is football. So it's
Yeah.
like MMA and rugby combined. I don't know all the rules or anything like that, but I do know that it's very closed on who can play. So
Okay.
I think it's 4 teams they have,
Right.
and it's based on you can only play if you were born there, and you
Ah,
can only play for the team of where you were born. So
got it.
like the city is like split. If you
Right.
were born over here, but maybe you live over here now, you can't play for this team. You can only play for that team. So it's very close. They don't let outsiders play. They don't recruit, super athletes from around the world. It is just hometown people, and it is a very historical thing for them. It's been going on since the Roman Empire days.
Sure.
It's really cool. I saw they were setting up the pit when I was there for the press conference, and it is like in the middle of the city. It's really cool. I wish it was going on while we were there because it would be. I would love to be a spectator at least. If I
Sure.
had the opportunity to play, I would.
Okay, so we've seen lots of stuff with the Coliseum. Unfortunately, the fight can't take place in the Coliseum. But are you excited? I mean, clearly they're going to do some stuff with the Coliseum. I don't know if they'll do weigh-ins there or like, but at least let you guys go in there. How excited are you to see like the Roman Coliseum and all the sites of Italy?
I'm super excited. So I got to see quite a bit of Florence when I was there for the press conference. And again, shout out to Gabriel, the Italian
I want to bring
promoter.
up Gabriel later for sure because he's
Okay.
phenomenal.
I have really enjoyed working with him. He's great. And he had all these things set up for me at the press conference that week. He had dinners for Whitney and I booked at like these really nice restaurants that got to see the city. He had booked us a tour of the city. They drive you around in a golf cart and give you like the history of everything. I got to see a lot of it, but I'm sure I didn't see all of it. So going back, I'll do some more sightseeing. I do a lot of walking during the week and just get out and about. So I'm super excited to just get like fully into the culture there and see more of it. I don't know if they have a Coliseum there, um, but they do have that. I think it's Cachico Storico pit, which is really cool. They were bringing in the dirt because they literally transport all the dirt into the middle of the city and start laying it out.
Okay. Okay, so okay, again, talking about Gabriel, the guy puts on phenomenal shows. He hypes the shit out of his shows. You look at Spain was, like phenomenal show. Italy's going to be a phenomenal show. Is that a guy that you want to fight for again? Like it seems like he really invests a lot in you guys. How great is it working with him? And do you have like he's a guy that I talk to weekly. Do you talk to him like basically daily? Like, I mean, you're the main event for him. Like, how often do you talk to him and what's it about?
I would say almost daily. A lot of business, but I even ask him things to do in Italy or whatever, and he's like, "I'll take care of it." I don't know how that guy functions, man. I don't feel like he
He
sleeps
doesn't sleep.
because
No.
he is a savage worker, but very nice guy. I got to meet his whole family. They all came to support him at the press conference, and then we went out that night and the night before, and like his mom, his dad, his sister, his wife, all of them were amazing people. And yeah, he's very communicative, very like hospitable. Anything you need, he's like done. Even though I know he's juggling a million things, he never seems to miss, and he remembers everything. He doesn't like forget. Where I wouldn't even hold it against him if he did forget things because he has so much going on. Um, he runs a lot of his own businesses and stuff too. He has some like very large companies, so that
Yeah.
guy is literally full time all over.
I've talked to him. He said he sleeps 3-ish hours a night. But I mean, it's crazy. He's got like the booze things that he does, and he's doing the fights and like, and I love talking to him. And like my wife, so he always sends voice messages. He hardly ever texts. And my wife's always like, "Oh, play it," because she loves his accent. She thinks he's got a phenomenal accent.
Oh, you better watch out.
I know. I
I know we all need a little accent, but no, I would absolutely fight for him again. And I already asked. I said, "Hey, next card, can I be on?" I just love it, and it's a really cool culture out there. People were the streets were packed with people. They all knew about the fights. He is promoted the hell out of the thing, and there were like thousands of people in the street everywhere we went. Like I felt like I was, you know, Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt or something because there were people literally just like mobbing, but they all seemed to, without any direction, like line up, wait one at a time. We're in America, if Connor
sure.
walks down the street in America, people are grabbing, mobbing, piling on. You see a security having to like shove people out of the way. These people were literally just like, "Excuse me, sir, would you mind taking a photo? Would you?" They'd even ask Whitney, like, "Do you mind if we take a photo with him?" Just like the most polite, nice people.
I thought it was crazy. So I was in Dubai, and we're doing the weigh-ins, and Connor walks by, and his security's like pushing fighters out of the way, and I'm like, guys, like like, it's all the fighters, and they're like, Connor's coming through, move back, and I'm like, you wouldn't think that the BKFC fighters are going to swarm Connor. You think you'd be in like a kind of a safe area, but dude, they don't play. Connor security does not play.
No, I mean that's their job. I used to do that as well. They're on top of it. They're very good. Um, I used to run security for celebrities and stuff too, and it's a stressful job because you have so many things to watch for, so many people to watch out for. And when we were at the launch party, so it was the day before the press conference in Italy. When Connor got there, we were all in this like section of this club where we had like a few tables and everything. And I went over and like grabbed him by the back of the neck to say what's up to him. And out of nowhere, his security came. They like grabbed my arm and they're like, "Don't do that." And he turned around and he's like, "No, it's fine." And they're like, "Oh, okay." But they're on top of it, which a guy like that needs it. I mean, everything's a liability for him. So those guys, they pay a lot of money for security, and that's to keep them safe, one, and just also keep keep them from having issues. Floyd Mayweather always had a ton of bodyguards, and that's so you don't get because people will always try to fight you. It's crazy. I
Yeah.
don't think in Italy they would, but everybody seemed too nice. But yeah, like Mayweather was always notorious for that. And people are like, "Oh, he's a fighter. What does he need security for?" And it's so you don't get lawsuits.
Yeah. Well, and everybody sees you as money. If I slap you or take advantage of you, and you punch me in front of a camera, money.
Everybody's looking for a lawsuit. Yeah,
Okay, so we got another fun question. So Coach Jake wants to know. He said, "What's your favorite thing since switching to Genesis?"
man, there's a lot. I really enjoy training at Genesis. I switched. I think it was 2020 was when I started training with Jake, and his background is in boxing, right? So funny enough, his first MMA fight, um, he trained with Nate Marquardt when Marquardt fought Tyron Woodley.
Wow.
That was his first one in Strikeforce for the title. Um, Nate had been at the same gym as him, but that was when he was with Trevor Whitman and Ed Grudge and all. That was back when all the elite fighters in the world were there or
Sure.
here in Denver. And Nate started working with Jake doing striking stuff and boxing. But I would say since switching to training with Jake, you can go back and look. I started knocking people out. I started. I think I've dropped people in every single fight I've had since I've been with him, whether it was a knockout or not. Through PFL and BKFC. But it's just like he's a master of like the little details. And the only reason I started knocking people out was he changed my stance a little bit, um, and that just gave me more power. He changed the way I punch, just little tweaks. I already knew how to punch, but
Sure.
he knew how to put power behind it. And yeah, I'm grateful for that because it's a great feeling, being more confident in your power. I used to rely on just like, oh, I got to go in and like beat this guy down in the UFC. I gotta break him. I gotta wear him out. I never thought I was gonna knock anybody out for the most part, not with my hands, because I didn't ever feel powerful, and now I do. I feel like I hit 100 times harder when I started working with him.
It's funny you say that because again, there's another champion that trains with you, Courtney, and she had success in bare knuckle, but she went and started training with Jake, and now she's a world champ, and she's cutting people up and she's stopping them, and literally all she said was, "We just changed this much, and it's complete day and night, how the fights are going."
Yeah, he's very like analytical on those like small details. And it's like nothing for him. It's not like he has to sit there and think about it. He's just like, do this, difference. It's hard for me to show you on camera between like punching like this or this, turning your knuckles a little bit more, turning your hip a little bit more. He changed the way my feet were just a tad. And what it does is it puts all the power like in your hips where they should be.
Okay, so your last fight against Sawyer, you won the championship. My favorite thing about that fight, though, is like we've both gotten closer to Sawyer, and he wants to take us cougar hunting. Are you excited to go up to Idaho with him and go mountain lion hunting? Like, I feel like we should go.
Is he in Idaho or Montana? Sorry to
So
call you
he's
out
in
there.
Montana, but he goes to Idaho because they have easier laws. I guess he's close enough that he goes to Idaho. He said Idaho's where it's at.
Oh man, cool. Yeah. So Whitney's from Idaho, so we go there a bunch. Half her family is there. Yeah, absolutely excited. Funny enough, like I've never gone. I've never hunted lions. All my friends do here in Colorado. I just have never gone out yet. So I'd really like to do that, and getting to do it with him would be really cool. That would be a hunt we got to film.
Okay, so we know Coach Jake has 2 tattoos. Did he? And those for when he won world championships. You won a world champion. Have you made him get your BKFC tattoo yet?
No, no, I'll never make him get a tattoo, but we talk about it. He said, he still wants to get it. Maybe after this one, I'll just pay for him to get it if he really wants it. I used to joke with him because he has them on his calves, right? So he's got
Sure.
other world titles on his calves that he coached. And I told him, was it when I fought Lorenzo the first time? We had a joke. I was like, well, you already got 2 on your calves. If I win this, I want you to get a tramp stamp of the belt.
Right.
And he was like, okay, kind of joking. And after I beat Sawyer, I was like, all right, you ready for that tramp stamp? I got a tattoo artist that actually came. And he was like, what? I would never make him do that, obviously, but it would be hilarious. But yeah, I think he will do it. I'm sure he'll get Courtney's. Um, those are cool pieces and memories for him, and it just shows all of his hard work and dedication because being a fight coach isn't easy. There is not many of them that are like filthy rich
Sure.
from coaching fighting. Some of them might have other businesses or successful gyms, but it's a lot of dedication away from their family. He's missed his daughter's birthday for fights. He's missed his anniversary with his wife for fights. All kinds of things that they sacrifice for us. Um, but I also think that those moments like that, will live with him forever, just like they will for me. And yeah, this fight it's cool because his wife's going to come with us. She
Oh,
doesn't get to
cool.
go on a lot of the trips. She's never been to Europe, so it'll be a really cool experience for her, and I'm sure it'd be great for him to have her there too.
Yeah, we talked to him before, and I said, like, what's your downtime like? And he goes, I don't have downtime. And he got very emotional, and he goes, I love it so much that I sacrifice so much. But like you said, the wife, I know she and his daughter, they go to the gym quite a bit, so they try to spend as much time as together. But he goes, there really is no downtime. I'm training and we're coaching and we're always doing something.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of sacrifice, being an athlete in general. There's a lot of sacrifices people don't realize that their families make. My fiance, my I'm sure my mom doesn't enjoy me doing bare knuckle. She's like my biggest fan, but I'm sure if she had a choice, she'd be like, yeah, don't do that. Because there are some rough situations and you miss a lot of things as an athlete, and people recognize that more than they do what coaches' families sacrifice too. Um, I've had other coaches that have sons that they miss their baseball games and everything else, and it's kind of like as fighters, we're like their kids too, extended,
Sure.
because everybody looks at the coach as like the dad, the father figure, the leader. Um, and it is a little sad sometimes that they have to sacrifice like stuff with their own kids for their other family. So I'm one of those people I genuinely appreciate that from them because I get it.
Okay, every time I talk to a fighter, I say, "What did you do different for this camp? Is there anything special, anything different that you did for this camp?"
Yeah, I got a crazy one for you.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, so if you listen to Joe Rogan's podcast, I listen to all of them. So if fans out here watching this listen to Joe Rogan's podcast, there was a guy named Chase Hughes on there, a couple months ago, and so Chase helped design the CIA mind control.
Okay.
Um, yeah, he was with the CIA for a really long time, or other organizations. Not always allowed to say, I'm sure. A lot of alphabet organizations,
Sure.
and after that, so he learned a lot of this like brainwashing and stuff for, obviously, I don't want to say bad because it's good for our government, but for not the most ideal circumstances.
Okay.
I know I think he worked at Guantanamo Bay and other places. But then he realized that there's a way to use it for good reasons too. So I heard him on Rogan's podcast. He used to work with Roy Jones Jr. They can split your personality essentially. They can, like, I might butcher this too, like fractionalize your personality.
Okay.
I heard him on there and he was talking about working with fighters, and he was like, I'd like to work with more. So I reached out to him, and he got right back to me. He has a company called NCI University, and I just finished the program with him over the weekend. It's like 3 days of like very intense stuff, but essentially it's brainwashing for good things, you know.
Okay.
And so I did it, and it is pretty insane. You basically, they build into you a lot of things, into your mind, into your subconscious, and there is a trigger that I have that I can like turn it on and off now. It's pretty insane. Like, hearing it, you laugh, and when I first heard it, I'm like, I don't know if that'd work on me. It's pretty crazy.
Sure.
And the last day of it was Sunday, and it was 8 hours of me just with these guys, and they're just like hypnosis. They're doing like, put you in a trance. They do all this stuff, but they basically teach you to get out of your own way, and no hesitations, no anything, even to the point of, they told me in the fight I probably won't even feel any pain. Um,
Really?
Yesterday was the first day I got to try it sparring, and I can say that it worked. You know, um, it worked. It's crazy. Like, my body all of a sudden had no aches and pains. I was completely locked in. It's like you can't think about anything else. You have endless cardio. Um, it's wild, man. It sounds very far out there, but there's a ton of research on it. And if you look this guy up, look up NCI University. He works with a lot of actors and stuff now, helping them get into character. He works with like Fortune 500 CEOs on like being a leader, and it's all through your subconscious. And I'm not like a very woo woo person, like believing in
Sure.
a lot of that stuff, but I could say it worked. It's weird. Um, so I think on top of that, you're going to see a different fighter in there too when it comes to April 26th. And part of me going through that was because I told you I was going to do everything to beat Lorenzo.
Sure.
And I didn't know if this was going to make me some like psychopath or something, but it didn't. It's safe, and he has a ton of research on it, and he's looking for more fighters to work with. So anybody listening to this, or if you want more information on it, look at NCI University. They can make you more productive, even just for business and anything else. You tell them what you want, and they program an entire like thing for you.
It almost sounds like cheating if you have endless cardio and you don't feel pain. Like, you just gave away. Like, if someone, like maybe Lorenzo gets us for the next fight, like you just gave away your cheat.
Well, I mean, it takes a lot of hard work, and you can't inject it. So I don't know if you
Wow.
do it.
I wasn't going there, but yeah, like, I mean, exactly. But no, it sounds like, like maybe, like, I mean, Kai Stewart has endless cardio, but I mean, like, we know so much of fighting is mental and breaking your opponent's mental, and it sounds like you're even more mentally strong now. It's funny because you and I were supposed to do the podcast over the weekend, and you said, "Oh, my weekend's completely booked up now," and now I know, so I'm glad you're able to do that.
Yeah, so you part of it is, when you go through it, you have to stay off all media. So I had an agent posting for me on social media and stuff, but you can't watch TV, you can't read, you can't. The last day, you can't even really talk.
Okay.
Once they're done, you're not supposed to talk the rest of the day, speak. Nobody's supposed to speak to you. You just have to hole up, and it's boring, but it's wild, man. And I'm excited to be able to fight now.
It sounds like you were kidnapped. Were you basically kidnapped and tortured to get this?
I'm not allowed to say.
Okay.
I definitely wasn't kidnapped, but I signed. Uh,
Sure.
I agreed to not talk about like the actual process, but no, I wasn't kidnapped. Everything was voluntary, but it was just I want to be great. You know, I had them also work with me for my business and everything else, and so far I've been extremely productive, and business has been great the last few days.
So you talked about him being on Joe Rogan. Is that a show you want to go on? I mean, you're doing the BKFC things, but would you love to go on like a show like Joe Rogan and talk about the bare knuckle and talk about your experience and talk about, you know, fighters, and you're a very big advocate that fighters need to have a career outside of fighting. You sell commercial real estate. Like, is that something that you would like the opportunity to do?
Yeah, I would love to. I've been a huge fan of it for a really, really long time. I've met Joe quite a few times, obviously, when I was in the UFC. I know Connor actually told me he reached out to him to try to get me on before this fight to promote it, but we didn't get to make it happen. So one of these days I will get to, because I think I have a unique story. I'm not as outspoken, or I'm not super famous, but um, I looking back, I think I'm one of the only guys. I competed in Glory Kickboxing, which is the pinnacle of kickboxing. I competed in the UFC, which is the biggest MMA organization in the world. I'm the BKFC champion. I don't know anybody else that's actually done all three, um, and been successful in them. So outside of that, I've got a million other things going on that I think is a cool story to talk about. So yeah, one of these days I'm hoping to get on there.
It's one of those, like, I would love for Feldman and Connor to go on, but then like Connor's so, and in a good way, Connor's so overpowering and like he talks so much. But then, like I said, I would love just to get BKFC more universally out there. And I think Rogan, I mean, Donald Trump told Joe Rogan, "You won me the presidency." I would love for BKFC to be able to get on that big platform and get you guys, more sponsors, more like I want to see you guys. You see a UFC guy and he's on the Tonight Show. I would love to see you win and you come back and you go on the Tonight shows and just get you guys more access and out there to bigger, more products.
Yeah, I think BKFC is getting to that point now where I've noticed it since winning the title. There's a lot more recognition, and they're only getting bigger. So I think that that's going to trickle down to the fighters too. We're getting those opportunities where I think it would be really good for them to start pushing the fighters a little bit more, trying to book them for big things like that. They recently booked me for Fox 31 News here,
Sure.
which I went on, and just bigger opportunities like that have been coming up a little bit more, and I think we'll see it more and more. Like Rogan's podcast, going to just other sporting events. The UFC will have fighters sitting courtside fight week, and because it all helps them promote the fight too. And I think we're seeing it go that direction. It just takes time.
Awesome. Well, when you come back, I want to talk to you about that mental stuff because it sounds great. I have a request. When you're over in Italy, will you bring me something cool back? Like I want a souvenir, like that ring that Gabriel's going to give away. I mean, you could give me that if you really wanted, but I mean, you won't. But I mean, like something cool, like just a little something, something from the BKFC. It doesn't have to, like, I don't need you to steal a towel or anything for me, but just a little BKFC something.
You want something from BKFC or something just Italy?
BKFC preferably. You know what I mean? Like I brought some stuff back from Dubai. Like it was it was kind of weird because like when we do BKFC over here, like when you're a corner guy, they say, hey, look, we want you to wear either the team shirt or BKFC shirt. So they give everybody stuff. When we were over in Dubai, I said, all right, well, where's the BKFC shirt? And they go, oh, we're only giving them to fighters. But after the fight, they gave me like 5 or 6 things. But yeah, like just a little something, nothing big.
Definitely. I always got you. I still got to send you one of my King of Island shirts too.
Absolutely, man. I need it signed so I can put it up on the wall. All right, dude. I don't know. Like, is there any sponsors or anything? Like, I'm so looking forward to this fight. I'm not gonna lie. Like, when you messaged me and you said Lorenzo dropped, I honestly thought the fight was gonna be off. But I'm glad they were able to fix it. You're a little over a week away. Like, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. I'm leaving Friday actually, so super excited for that. I always love getting out of town because that's kind of when everything like I can, I won't be focusing on my day job as much. I've gotten all that handled, and business will go on while I'm gone. But getting into town just helps me really like lock in, and also kind of like I said, immerse in the culture. I do that every country I go to because I think it's respectful, and it's also cool to travel the world and see how other people live. Their customs, all of that stuff. But yeah, as far as sponsors, so I've got RMA Armament again. So the body armor, I wore on
Sure.
stage when I fought Sawyer. Great company. I've got some vests. The world is crazy, so you never know. It's better to have it and just keep it in your closet
Sure.
than it is to not. Stuff's wild with China and everything else now. You never know if we're gonna end up in some crazy war. I always recommend everybody have some emergency stuff, and Whitney and I both have body armor in the closet. So there's them, USCCA. So that's a cool company that provides insurance for people that it's I don't love insurance companies, but this company is very cool because they will provide you insurance for like self-defense situations and stuff. So I'm a big gun advocate,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter if somebody breaks into my house and I shoot them, they're not consequences, but there's a lot of problems that arise from that because people will always try to come after you for stuff, and they help provide insurance for that. And as a fighter, if somebody attacks me outside of the ring and I defend myself and I beat them up, that it's something that they will help insure me. So court costs, attorneys, everything. And it's a very minimal fee,
Okay.
but they got your back. So USCCA, really cool company. A Perfect Finish is a local painting company here. They were with me last fight, and I got to know the owner really well. We do business outside of fighting too because they paint houses, commercial buildings. So they've painted some buildings for me that I needed and given my clients really good deals, and they do awesome work. Blackout Coffee, I just signed with, which is one of
Nice.
BKFC's big sponsors. I've got some coffee coming today, actually, I'm excited about.
I
And
hung
I'll
out
be
with them in
bringing that
Dubai.
one.
They're super cool guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping they're coming to Italy. I'm waiting for an answer on that because I'd love to meet them in person. Half Face Blades, we talked about. I'll always rep them. I love Beto, and their company is really cool. They have the coolest knives. They only do drops every Saturday. Everything is not mass produced. So if you get a piece from them, more than likely you've got like a fairly custom piece. And they also do some crazy custom stuff. Rogan's always talking about them. He's
Yeah.
got a knife made out of meteorite and wild stuff. Hoff and Lee Commercial Real Estate. So that's the company that I work for, the brokerage. They support me in and out of the ring, which is really cool. They all root for me. Where most jobs aren't fond of you taking weeks off
Absolutely.
to go do something else, and they've been nothing but supportive for me. And it's a really cool brokerage, family owned in Colorado. So nothing but love for them. And then of course Whitney John's Nutrition. So that's my girl's nutrition company. She does work with a bunch of fighters too on
I saw that.
nutrition programs. So she has her supplement company, but she also does meal plans and stuff. That's what I do my dieting and cutting through. Um, and she works with people all around the world because she has an app that she can load in your diet plans, workouts, everything. Super beneficial. So check that out at whitneyjohns.com. And we talked about it already, but NCI University is sponsoring me for this too. So that's the cool brainwashing stuff I went through, and I think you're going to see some insane results on this fight.
Well, let's do this. When you get your win, come back. We'll have you and Whitney on because I would love to hear about her experience because you're going to tell it. And I mean, like you're the golden child over there, but I would love to hear like what she thinks too, and we can talk about the brainwashing and the nutrition and all that. Like I think people are curious about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Let's do it. I'm always available for you. You know that.
All right, man. Well, good luck. Oh, this is the other thing. Who's going over there to watch you? Like, I know Whitney's going. Like, are you going to be traveling pretty big like you do in Colorado, or is it going to be a smaller?
I can't remember the final count we have. I've got so Brandon, who owns the brokerage that I work for in Denver. He owns the Denver office. Him and his wife are going to come, which is really cool. Neither
Yeah,
one of them has ever been to Europe or Italy. So that's cool. My coach's wife Amanda is coming again. She's never been to Europe. Whitney's coming, obviously. Whitney's dad and stepmom are going to fly out. Actually, they
fun.
decided to take the trip to Italy. They've never seen me fight live.
Okay.
Um, but they're great, and I'm excited for them to have this whole experience. And then I had some friends from Texas coming, so the Park family. Um, they, I don't know, they Nate Park does a million things. The guy is very successful, owns a ton of companies, and they've become friends of ours, friends of friends. We met at a wedding a long time ago, and since then they've been super supportive. So their whole family is coming out. They're going to spend like a month in Europe.
Right. Awesome. All right, man. Well, listen, good luck. Thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it. Thanks for always being on the Reddit. I really appreciate that. Like the fact that you interact with all the fans on the Reddit, like this speaks so much as you.
Oh no, thank you. I think I just saw a thing that said I joined Reddit in like 2010.
Really
I've been on there for a long time. Yeah, I love Reddit, and I love that you made a bare knuckle subreddit because that's right. I check in every day.
cool. All right, man. Thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it. And we can't wait to see you fight.
Awesome. Thanks. I'll
See
talk
you,
to you
bud.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.